Okay, welcome to this brief lecture on Descartes. René Descartes, 1596 through 1650. And what I want to do in this lecture is to explore Book 1, or Descartes' first meditation. So Book 1 of the Meditations, and to try to provide some clarity, a little bit of context for this document. I'm not going to say a whole lot about Descartes' life because this information is in the textbook, but typically we refer to him as the founder or the father of modern philosophy. And what we mean by that is the fact that Descartes, or because Descartes effected a break from the past, because he wanted to start philosophy on new ground, he's earned the title of father of modern philosophy. In other words, with Descartes, a shift takes place, a shift in the development of philosophy. He rejects the old Aristotelian scholastic model of the universe in favor of the new scientific way of understanding the universe. And because many of our beliefs about the modern natural world go back to Descartes, well, he's earned that title as the founder or the father of modern philosophy. Descartes is classified as a rationalist, and I've already put up a video distinguishing continental rationalism from British empiricism, so I'm not going to say much on that now. I'll just refer you to the video. Descartes was more than a philosopher, however. He was also a brilliant mathematician. In fact, I think one would be safe to say that he was a mathematical genius. He developed many ideas within geometry and algebra that laid the foundation for Newton's discovery of infinitesimal calculus. His two major works, Discourse on Method, 1637, Meditations on the First Philosophy, 1641, both of which are very important in the history of philosophy. We are primarily going to focus on Meditations on the First Philosophy, Book 1, so it's to that we will turn. So what's Descartes' overall goal? What is he trying to accomplish? Well, he tells us in Book 1, or Meditation 1, he says he wants to break with the past and start philosophy anew. In other words, he's tired of the old traditional Aristotelian way of viewing the world. Right? He wants to begin philosophy on new ground, right? To see if it can reveal anything new about the world. He also wants to develop a system of knowledge that is absolutely certain, beyond skepticism, and does not appeal to authority. And in Meditation 1, Descartes gives a brief biographical account of his life. And he writes how much of what he has come to believe is either false or there's no real evidence for it. Right? That is to say, much of what he has taken to be true has been handed to him based on authority. Right? Whether it's the authority of the church, or the authority of the state, or the authority of parents or society. Descartes no longer wants to appeal to authority or tradition to know that something is true. Right? He wants to be able to prove it using his own mind and his own reason as his only guide. Lastly, we can say that Descartes' goal is to establish one connected universal science with one universal method. For Descartes, all the sciences are intricately connected with one another. And what he attempts to do in the Meditations is to provide a secure metaphysical foundation for the development of the sciences. Whether it's physics, or whether it's medicine, or mechanics, or morals, or whatnot, Descartes thinks that all of these various natural sciences have to be anchored on a very secure foundation. Okay, so how does Descartes arrive at truth? Or how does he go about achieving his goal of establishing one interconnected universal science? Well, in short, he implies doubt, right, as a method. Okay, now we've all experienced doubt. We've doubted before, right, whether God exists, or we doubt whether maybe our parents love us, or whether we're really friends with somebody. I mean, all of us have experienced doubt to a certain degree, but we've probably never used it or incorporated doubt as part of a method. And in particular, we've probably never used doubt to arrive at truth, which is exactly what Descartes is going to do. So his doubt is radical, very radical. He wants to doubt everything that admits of the slightest degree of doubt. Okay, now let's think about that for a minute here. If I was to write up on a board, or if you were to sit down and write on a piece of paper, everything that you could possibly doubt, you could spend your entire life filling up one piece of paper after another, and you would never exhaust every possibility. In other words, our doubt could extend infinitely. We could doubt whether there's an external world. We could doubt whether I'm sitting in front of this computer speaking to you. You could doubt whether you're really in front of a computer listening to this lecture. I could doubt that blue's a color. I could doubt that basketball's around me. We could doubt anything and everything that we could think of. Well, Descartes recognizes this, and he knows that this would simply take too long. Okay, so he's got to get to the heart of the matter. Okay, but before we get there, I want to bring up to your attention 4 different characteristics of Descartes' doubt, because it's really easy at this point to get this confused or to misunderstand exactly what he is referring to. So first and foremost, remember that his doubt is methodic. It's part of a method that he is using. Okay, so he's not saying that we should live our lives like this. He is not saying that we should go get into the car, jump on the highway and doubt whether there's a semi coming at us or anything like that. I mean, that would just be ridiculous and stupid. The doubt is part of a method. So he thinks that if he doubts correctly, ultimately he's going to discover one universal truth that is beyond the possibility of doubt. Okay, so his doubt is part of a method, a set of rules or principles that he is using to arrive at truth. But the doubt's also universal. So he wants to doubt everything. He's not going to limit his doubt. He's not going to section off one part of his life that is beyond doubt, or that he is afraid to doubt, right? It's universal. It's going to extend to everything. The doubt's also provisional, in that it is only for a short period of time he is going to doubt what he doubts, right? It may turn out that a belief he now currently doubts later turns out to be true. Okay, so it's provisional. It's just for a short time. He's not telling us that we should live our lives like this 100% of the time. And finally, the doubt is theoretical. So again, it's part of a thought experiment. Okay, and in a way, Descartes invites us to participate in this thought experiment. Right, so it's theoretical in nature. It's not practical. We certainly couldn't live our lives like this. Okay, so let's look at Descartes' progression of doubt in the first meditation. And what we're going to find is that it goes through 3 distinct stages, or his doubt, you can say, goes through 3 distinct stages. At first, he doubts sensation. Okay, by sensation is meant anything that we experienced through the 5 senses. So seeing something, tasting something, hearing something, touching something, smelling something. All of these would be various activities that we associate with the 5 senses. Yet we all know that the senses can be very deceptive, right? The senses often deceive us. For example, how many times have you been in the shower and you think you hear your phone ringing only to check your phone and find out that no one has really called you? Well, that would be a case where your senses, or the sense of hearing, has deceived you. Or maybe you see a figure at a distance, and based upon the figure's shape and characteristics, you conclude that it's one of your friends and that you know this person. However, upon getting closer to this person, you realize that they're a complete stranger. You've never seen them before in your life. That would be another example, another case of how the senses deceive us. Okay, and there's numerous cases, right? We could talk about different mirages or hallucinations. There are tons of different ways that the senses can deceive us. So Descartes asked the question, if the senses have deceived us in the past, which they have, why should we trust them in the future? Right? Isn't it possible that right now we could be deceived? So I'm having a strong sensation of sitting in front of the computer, but is it possible that my senses have been misinformed? That they're misinterpreting really what's going on right now? Well, surely it's possible, right? If we can point to cases in the past where I've been deceived, well, then surely right now it's at least possible that I'm also being deceived by my senses. Okay, so what Descartes wants to do is to take every belief that's built upon sensation and say, well, because we've been deceived in the past, I can no longer trust these current sensations to be true. So let's take this one step further. Think about the various sciences, the natural sciences that are built upon sensation, right? Astronomy, chemistry, right? Physics, biology, all of them to one degree or another are built upon sensation. So if Descartes is going to doubt the senses, then he also has to doubt the very academic disciplines that rely upon the senses. Okay, so this is how Descartes goes about doubting everything. He doesn't doubt each specific belief. He simply groups together every belief that's based upon sensation, and with one swoop, he denies that those disciplines or beliefs are true. So that's stage one of Descartes' doubting progression, you could say. Stage two is the dream stage. Descartes asks the question whether we've had dreams that are so real we think them to be true. And most of us, if we're honest with ourselves, would say, sure, we have had dreams that are so realistic and so vivid that we've woken from them absolutely convinced that they're true. Well, Descartes asked the question, if that's the case, then how do we know we're not dreaming right now? Can I really be absolutely 100% confident that I'm not dreaming? And again, if we're honest, we probably have to conclude that it's possible that I'm dreaming right now, that really I'm lying in bed, sound asleep, maybe snoring a little bit, and I'm only dreaming that I'm sitting here in front of this computer giving a lecture. Okay, is it possible? Descartes wants to ask us. And he thinks that it is. But there's a problem here, and Descartes realizes this. What about mathematics? And this is Descartes' example. So he writes that even when I am dreaming, 2 plus 2 or 2 plus 3 still equals 5. Okay, even when I'm dreaming, 2 plus 3 equals 5. So what about mathematics? What about logic? Even when I'm dreaming, modus ponens is still valid. Right? If P then Q, P therefore Q, that's still a valid deductive argument even though I'm dreaming. So Descartes realizes here that, well, maybe there are some things that we can't doubt. Maybe mathematics and logic are so deductively certain and precise that we can't doubt those. Well, that could be, or is it possible that there is this evil genius, this evil demonic being who is out there in the universe who is bent on nothing but our deception? Right? In other words, Descartes brings up the third stage of doubt with this evil genius. And he asks whether it's possible. Now, again, he's not saying that this evil demon really exists. He's not saying it's really out there. Remember, this is part of a thought experiment. It's part of a method to arrive at truth. But he asks the question whether it's possible that there could be this being out there who wants me to believe that 2 plus 2 equals 4, when in fact 2 plus 2 really equals 5. Is it possible? And again, if we're honest, we have to conclude that, yeah, it's possible. I mean, we can't rule the option out. It may be unlikely, but there's still a possibility that there's some being out there that's constructed the universe in such a way to where I'm always deceived. Right? So this evil being wants me to think that 2 plus 2 equals 4, when in reality 2 plus 2 equals 5. Okay, so after this third stage, Descartes no longer has anything that he is certain of, because it's always possible that this evil genius is out there. So even things like mathematics and logic that we are confident and certain that we know, if this evil genius is out there, we can no longer have that same certainty, right? Because it's possible that he could have created us with, he could have intentionally created us with misguided brains, misguided minds that allow us to be deceived. Okay, so Descartes, after meditation 1, is kind of in a jam here. He wants to arrive at truth, yet because of the evil genius, he can't do so. So he has to continue to explore here. And here is what he concludes. He concludes that if he is doubting, then there has to be some sort of thought that exists, right? Doubt essentially is a form of thought. Well, if there's thought, there has to be a thinker. There has to be someone who exists who is thinking the thought. And if there's a thinker, then there has to be existence. We know that things simply don't think, that don't exist, right? One has to exist first in order to think. Thus, Descartes concludes, if I'm deceived, I must exist to be deceived. If I'm dreaming, I must exist to dream. And this leads Descartes to formulate his famous cogito ergo sum, I think, therefore I am. So no matter whether this evil demon, this evil genius is out there or not, as long as Descartes is aware that he is thinking, he is confident that he exists. So this is that one truth that Descartes wanted to build, that he wanted to find and build his entire philosophy upon. So the one truth is his own existence. He exists. And even if that evil demon is out there somewhere trying to convince him that he doesn't exist, well, you still have to exist in order to doubt that you don't exist. Or you still have to exist in order to doubt that you exist, right? So existence is necessary, Descartes thinks. So the I am, the I think, is that one truth that Descartes has found. Okay, we'll stop here. I'm going to save what is the I that exists for a future lecture. I hope this provided some clarification, a little bit of context regarding that first meditation. It can be a little confusing, so I hope this helps you out. Let me know if you have any questions. If not, I will see you next time. Thank you.